Hi there. This is going to be a demo of the second assignment, the Picobot, here for Intro to Programming, this LMACS class. So what we first do is we go to learncs.uml.edu/extension/Picobot. And here is the app. It runs in the browser. And the idea behind it is here, this little green square is the Picobot. It's a robot with very limited sensors. It can only see directly to its north, east, west, and south. More on that later. But basically, every time it moves, the Picobot moves, it leaves this gray trail behind it every time it moves. And the goal is we want to be able to control the Picobot so that it can color the entire white square. We want to color it all brown. So one thing that you'll see is you can go over your own gray trail. There's no issue with that. And so the way we control its movement is in this section right here, the rules. There's a special way to format how you control the Picobot, and I'll describe that in a little bit. But basically, with all this writing, anything that begins with this this pound symbol is a comment. So it's actually very helpful to read these comments. But for simplicity, I'm going to remove all comments, just so we can really see what's controlling Picobot. Alright, now I'll enter these rules. I'll reset the map, and when I hit go, it'll start executing these rules however it executes them, as I will later describe, and we'll be able to see it move up and down repeatedly. Okay, one thing we notice is here, this is the state variable. The idea behind that is the Picobot, it's a small robot, but it is able to hold some amount of information inside of it in the form of a state. And we'll see why that's useful in a little bit. But first I wanted to just describe what I meant when it has the limited sensors. It can only see immediately to its north, east, west, and south. Currently, its surroundings are labeled XXXX. What that means is there are blank spaces in all directions. Here, this X is north. The second one here is east. The third one is west. And then finally, the fourth X means south. It's always in the order northeast, west, south, or news. It's a helpful way to remember it. So as we step through, we see that its surroundings are still completely free in all four directions. But once we hit this wall here, we see its surroundings are now XXXS. What this S means is there's something to the south. There's a wall blocking Picobot, so it can't travel south. So if we keep stepping, we'll see a similar thing when it reaches the northern wall. Here now its surroundings are N, XXX. There's something to the north. If there were a wall on the east as well as the north, meaning that it was in this corner, if it was in this corner, its surroundings would read NEXX. So basically that's how its surroundings are represented. An X for a blank spot, and an N for a wall, and NEWS. Now that we understand that, we can take a look at these rules. So I'll just reset. And we see that Picobot starts out in state 0. It will always start out in state 0. And its surroundings right now there are no walls. And so we'll look at our rules. We know we're in state 0, which means we're going to be looking at these two rules, because the leftmost number is what the current state is. So it's not state 1. We know we can eliminate those for now. We're going to look at the state 0 rules. Now we look at these four letters right here. for each of those two rules, and we see which of them match what the current surroundings are. In this case, the surroundings are XX, XX. So the two candidates are X, and then these 3 stars, or N, and then these 3 stars. So a star basically means any value. There either can be a wall, or there isn't a wall. You could do either or. So it's basically saying, I don't really care what's to the east, I don't really care what's to the west, and I don't really care what's to the south. So these four letters right here together say, the only thing I care about is whether there's a blank spot to the north. Similarly, this says, the only thing I care about is that there's a wall to the north. So because we're in state 0, with nothing to our north, this is the rule that matches. And what that means is because this rule matches, we're going to travel 1 unit in this direction, and this will be our new state. So when I click step, we're going to travel 1 unit to the north, and we're going to remain in state 0. You can see we've traveled 1 unit to the north, we've remained in state 0. So I can step a few more times, and it's still this first rule that keeps applying. And now when I get here, we'll see something interesting on the next step. So now our state is still state 0, so we'd look at these 2 lines, but our surroundings are now N followed by 3 X's. And so this rule no longer matches. It's now this rule that governs the motion, because now there is a wall to the north, followed by 3 things we don't care. Oh. Okay? Therefore, since this is the rule that matches, we're going to follow these instructions. When it says move X, what that means is don't move in any direction. If it were an N, that would mean move north, and S means move south, and X means don't move. And then we change the state to state 1. Okay? So when I hit step, we expect it to not move, and we expect the current state to change to state 1. So when I hit step, the state has changed, and it hasn't moved. Its surroundings are still N followed by 3 X's. But now that we're in state 1, these are the 2 rules we would consider. And when we want to find out which direction it moves, we look at our current surroundings, N followed by 3 X's, and we see which rule matches. This second rule right here says, don't care, don't care, don't care, south. So this rule would match if there were a wall to our south. But since there's not a wall immediately to our south, instead this is what our surroundings are. It's this rule that matches. So we move 1 unit south and we stay in state 1. As you'll see, that's what we do. And we can continue down this path until we hit the bottom. Now our surroundings are 3 X's followed by an S in state 1, which matches this line right here. We're in state 1, followed by don't care what's to the north, don't care what's to the east, don't care what's to the west, and there is a wall immediately below us. So this X means we don't move, and we transition to state 2. So a step, we didn't move, and now we're in state 0, not state 2. So now we can keep stepping, and it'll continue indefinitely going up and down in this scenario. Okay, so that's it for the basics of Picobot. In the next video, I will talk about how to solve this particular map.